Hello, BookTube. I'm Alex, the unabashed reader, and here's my first ever wrap up of the month. I know technically we're still in March, but I usually take the very last day of the month and do no reading at all. I just do other things. So this month I read 12 books. 4 of them were rereads. I'm quite varied in what I think about them. There's some good books in this list and there's some crap books in this list. For genres, I'm trying to do my computer screen's down here. I'm trying to cheat. So genres, I've got the usual fantasy, classics, history, sci-fi, historical, nature, travel, thriller, essays, crime, and contemporary. Quite a lot. Of course, there's some books that, there's multiple genres in one book. So yeah, let's get to it. I'm going to do the rereads first. The very first reread, and it's easy because it's right here, is The Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. Yep, all 3 of them. I love this series. Look at this edition, it's fantastic. Yeah, but what can you say about these books that's not been said already? I do absolutely adore these books. Everybody knows what these books are about now. It's about Frodo destroying the One Ring. Now, I am of the opinion that the films are better than the books. Definitely. I even believe the Hobbit film is better than the Hobbit book. Shock and horror, even though the film's not that great. Neither's the Hobbit. Yeah, but the Lord of the Rings, fantastic. Sometimes it can be a bit irritating, like that scene in Bree. Do you know when the Hobbits are supposed to be sneaking about and avoiding the ring raves, and then Frodo decides to do a big jaunty song on top of all the tables? What? You can just see Aragorn and Corey going, oh. And yeah, new readers coming into the Lord of the Rings, especially if you've not read anything, predating the 1970s, it can seem a bit dated because there's a lot of where you just go into random song into these books or a random poem. But again, I still think everyone needs to read The Lord of the Rings. It's an essential, especially if you're a fantasy reader. My 4th book, another reread, is about anthropomorphic moles. Don't roll your eyes at me. Yeah, I read a book about anthropomorphic moles. Now, this is probably got a darker theme than Watership Down. I know, believe it or not. This is Duncton Found. It's the last book of the Duncton Chronicles series by William Horwood. First one being Duncton Wood, then Duncton Quest, and then Duncton Found. The first one is like it's an allegory of paganism, and onto the trilogy. That's my favourite. It's about Bracken and Rebecca, the moles that fall in love. The second and third is more of an allegory of Christianity. It's about the coming of the stone mole, because there's basically 2 factions. There's the stone moles, which are the quote unquote good guys, and then there's the moles that follow the word, which are the evil guys who are creating all sorts of atrocities across Moldom, which they've conquered. So the 3rd book is literally the moles waiting for the stone mole to come and then be their saviour. And there's redemption from the evil moles, there's the slaying of the big bad mole, and it's the coming together and then the rejuvenation of Duncton Wood. It is a good book. I've read this multiple times. It's one of those books where you can't quite pinpoint why you really, really love it that much, but I do. This is sticking with me for a long time. I've read this first time, I think, about 15 years ago. I absolutely love it. But the first one's better. And let me reiterate, this is not a book for kids or even preteens, because each of them are quite chunky books, and it's quite in depth. There's swearing, there's all sorts of bad things going in this book. But yeah, fantasy book about moles, you should read it. Okay, so we got the rereads out the way. So let's start on books that are new to me. And let's get the nerdy stuff out the way at the moment. So the next two books I'm doing both at the same time are Star Wars books. So you've got Agents of Chaos, 2 Jedi Eclipse, and Balance Point. They are books 5 and 6, I believe, from the New Republic series or the New Jedi Order series. It's either or. Now, I think this is pretty meh, this series. If you don't know, there's a difference now between what is canon and not canon in the Star Wars universe. And basically, the New Jedi Order series is not canon anymore. So, it's not true to the Star Wars timeline, or whatever. But yeah, this series is, like I said, it's a bit meh at the moment. There's loads of convoluted plot lines going on, none of it terribly exciting. One of the Han and Leia's kids is unbearable. Jacen Solo, unbearable. All you want to do is grab him and give him a slap. He's such an unbearable, pretentious shit. He's so annoying. Han is still dealing with grief from the death of Chewbacca. Remember, folks, this is the Legend series. Chewbacca doesn't die, and yeah, this is the whole series is about the Yuuzhan Vong invasion of the Star Wars galaxy and how they're basically taking over planet after planet after planet, and it's about the old rebellion, but the New Republic getting together with all different factions in the Star Wars galaxy and fighting off that Yuuzhan Vong invasion. Few deaths, few wins, but still, I think overall this series is disappointing at the moment. Okay, next book is a non-fiction. It is The Third Reich: A New History by Michael Berlioz, I believe. Now, this is a fantastic book. This is probably my favourite book of March. This is great if you want to learn about eugenics, about how Nazism basically became a state religion. This is not a Hitler-centric biography by any means. It focuses on the whole complete Nazism picture, and it's nothing to do really about World War II military campaigns. It's nothing about that. It literally is how Nazism came about after the Great War, and how it turned out to where it became in the Second World War, and then the eventual decline after Hitler's death. Now, I will say this book is definitely not for beginners. The author assumes that you have prior knowledge of this subject, so do not buy this book as in, oh, I want to get into like the World War II period. No. This you need background knowledge in this subject to fully enjoy this book, and the book is also a bit of a chunker. It's roughly nearly 1,000 pages, but if you know some things about Nazism and you don't mind dense books, this is definitely a book for you. Next book. Now, this is a book that my brother chose to buddy read with me. So this is, I hope I don't butcher the author's name. Is it Onyakan Braithwaite? I think I've got that right. So this is My Sister, the Serial Killer. So this book is about a social media influencer, but she's a nutter. Okay, she's a crank, she's a murderer. And her sister, who is a nurse, but she helps her sister cover up her crimes. And the whole book just unravels up to the point of when the murderer, she wants to date a doctor who the other sister is in love with. This book is, I thought it was very surface level. It was quick. I didn't, if you could tell by the tone of my voice, I didn't enjoy this book that much at all. I wanted something more meaty to get. I will say a good thing about this book is it's incredibly short, and the paragraphs are short as well, so you will fly through this book in a day, 2 days at most. But yeah, this book is not particularly shocking in any way. Not really gory in any way, and I didn't really find it that funny anyway. So yeah, a disappointing read for me. My brother hasn't read it yet, even though it's supposed to be the book, to read in March. But he's been reading the Mum's List. What he's like. But yeah, overall disappointing experience. Next book, another non-fiction. So this is Robert Macfarlane's The Old Ways: A Journey on Foot. Now, the title of this book says all you need to know. It literally is Robert Macfarlane walking through all the old lay-bys, all the hidden pathways across the UK. He also does some other countries in the later half of the book. Now, if you've never read Robert Macfarlane before, he's got a very poetical way of writing. I believe he actually has poems as well. But yeah, if you don't like that kind of like waxy lyrical way of talking, you're probably gonna not like this book. And don't get me wrong, when I thank God I had this on Kindle, because every other paragraph I was highlighting where it's going. I have no idea what that means. But if you can get past that, it is a good book. Don't get me wrong, it is a really, really good book. Really, really well presented and written, because he has got some great prose when he starts to describe things. I would say I enjoyed the first part of the book a lot more than I enjoyed the second half, because the first half focuses on the UK and he gives a lot more history to it rather than countries that he's not really familiar with. So yeah, this is a really good book. I enjoy Robert Macfarlane. I've got a few of his books lying about the place. But yeah, if you like travelling, rambling kind of books, but you're like a guy who kind of, because this book's not like a progression style book, it's literally a guy walking through the woods, meandering his thoughts onto the page. That's what this book is. So if that sounds like it's your flavour, by means get it, because it's good. The next two are part of the same series, and that's the Asian Saga by James Clavell. Now, the first one is Shogun, which is the most famous one. I believe there's a Disney limited TV series of it. But these are books 5, Noble House, and book 6, Whirlwind. If you don't know anything about James Clavell, all his books are huge, massive books. Both of these books are over 1,200 pages each. Easy. They are huge. So a brief description of both of them. Noble House is about a man in Hong Kong trying to save his businesses with a shady American millionaire while trying to dodge Soviet spies and Taiwanese nationals. And Whirlwind is about, Whirlwind is a bit different from the others because it's actually set in Iran and not in the Far East. And this is in the 1970s during the revolution. And it's about pilots who are trying to get out of the situation, but they've got Iranian wives. The guys are European and they've got Iranian wives. It's trying to work out how all this is going to go, how they're going to save the wives, how they're going to get out of Iran. So both of these books can be a slog, and it doesn't help that they're both long as well. The first half of Whirlwind, it is a slog. There's a lot of different intricacies in these books, and what he does do very well, James Clavell, don't get me wrong, is all the political stuff, everything what's going on in the background, but you just need to get to it. It's you can have the biggest pizza in the world and it could be the nicest pizza, but you're not going to eat it all, are you? And that's a strange analogy, though. I must be hungry. But yeah, I did enjoy both of these books. I wish they were 400 or 500 pages shorter and it had a more condensed cast, because there's a lot of I know I just briefly described the both books, but there's a lot more characters going on here, and how all the plot lines connect, because you can wreck your head a bit. So not for everyone, but if you enjoy your long books and if you don't mind historical fiction, pick them up. They're good. And the very last book that I read in March is Deterring Armageddon, a biography of NATO by Peter Apps. Now, this is a good general overview of the history of NATO, or the history of the West as well, from NATO's foundation in the late 1940s up until the point of Joe Biden's presidency. Now, each chapter focuses on a brief history of time, and the chapters read pretty much like a short essay, but don't let that put you off, because sometimes people associate essays with being quite dry. It's not. It is engaging. It will pull you in. For me, it was a bit too surface level for me. I needed something a little bit deeper, because I've read quite a lot of books over this period, like the Cuban Missile Crisis, the war in Afghanistan. So I wanted something a bit more. But if you want a general overview of NATO, because you're not really familiar with the subject, get this book. It is good, and it's easily readable. Yeah, so that's it, folks. That's the 12 books I read in March. I'm not sure when my next video's coming up. I don't do TBRs. I might do a video of why I don't do TBRs. That could be my next video. But yeah, love to you all, and see you shortly. Bye bye, BookTube.